Hi, I'm Susan Parker, and I want to welcome you to the Aromatherapist Guide to Carrier Oils. And we're in this presentation. I want to expand the carrier oil palette for aromatherapists and skincare formulators who are my students, are skincare formulators, and the lipid oils are my passion. So let's call them the other oils, the true oils. Lipid, fatty, or carrier oils are a perfect companion to the essential oils. I'm a specialist in the lipid oils that are also called carrier oils. We use these terms interchangeably. While these oils are often overlooked and assumed to be a minor part of an aromatherapy formula, I aim to change your mind about the minor role that they might play. Lipid carrier or carrier oils are the most active and vital part of any facial or massage and body oil, as the percentage volume of fatty oil is many times the volume of the aroma essential oils. They are the safety and dilution requirements for topical use of the aroma oils. So skin and oil, they go so well together. I want to introduce you to the expanding world of lipid oils, and they're capable of so much more than carrying a few drops of essential oils. Made up of heavy molecules called fatty acids, which gives them their fatty protective quality, they are central to skincare formulas. Many of these fatty acids are the same compounds that make up our skin's own lipids. The matrix that is our outer layer of skin. And this makes the plant oils highly compatible for the skin's health. Topical application, meaning we apply it externally, of oils and the butters can nourish depleted skin when the deficient nutrients are present in the oil. So these lipid oils do far more than carry. That's the trouble with language. Sometimes it can limit us. And I'd like to point out the fallacy of the following claims that I see and hear regularly. Carrier oils are all the same, or just use the carrier oil. Since they do so much more than carry, my mission here is to open up the world of lipid oils to you. These fatty lipid oils are incredibly diverse and can be described in many different ways using descriptive terms for their use. So let's look at some of those terms. So naming oils, carrier oils is the common name that many people use, but they're also fatty oils. Fatty oils mean that they stain paper with oily smears, and they can leave oily smears on your most recent shirt or blouse that you may have purchased. True oils, they're true oils in the sense from chemistry, from chemical compounds. They're fixed oils in that they don't evaporate. They are fixed, and back to the staining paper, they leave oily smears. Beauty oils, they're used all throughout the whole beauty industry to manufacture products and facial oils and just products to condition the skin. These oils are very much related to the skin. I like to use the term lipid oil because it encompasses all of these elements, and it is more technical, descriptive name than maybe carrier or fatty or fixed. Base oil, we can add the essential oils to them or other active ingredients when we're making skincare products. Botanical oil is a word that relates to the fact that these are plant oils, and they come from so many different sources. And so botanical oil can be a lovely way of describing them. And then vegetable oil. Yeah, they're vegetable oils. They come from plants. Vegetables are plants, but they really are more than that. So mostly I use lipid oil, but carrier oil is fine as well. So seeds. So where do these oily plant wonders come from? Seeds. Nature captures the sun's energy in the lipid compounds in the reproductive parts of the plants, the seeds, what produces the next generation. So the reproductive parts of plants propagate the next generation of that tree or plant. But the word seed needs to be broadened to include kernels like apricot kernels, grains, legumes, even pulps, as we find with avocado and olive oils, where the oil is pressed from the pulpy, usually called the mesocarp, surrounding a hard seed. All of these sources are where the fatty oils come from and where we look to them to produce these oils. So seeds are powerful. Several decades ago, I began studying the lipid oils as an herbalist, and I was making remedies and soap. And as there was little general information on them, I just kind of started finding what I could all across the internet. And I had help from a few friends with chemistry backgrounds, which I do not have. And I was able to publish the first book that was devoted to these lipid oils and butters. And since its publication in 2015, I have continued to study working with these oils with my daughter. And we started the Lipid Oils Academy, where we have courses and a monthly membership to continue studying the ever expanding world of carrier oils, which I am now going to introduce you to some of them. So this next section, is a brief survey of the oils grouped by their actions for the health of the skin and body. The aromatic carrot. I thought I'd start with this because the carrot lipid oils are closely related to the essential oils. Some lipid oils are highly aromatic. The carrot family, Apiaceae, which includes parsley and carrot seed and coriander, are highly aromatic lipid oils because they carry the same intense aroma as the distilled essential oil version of these plants, because the same seeds that are distilled for the essential oils are pressed for the lipid oil. So, of course, the essential oil, the aromatic volatile compounds come along with the lipid oils. So by pressing the lipid compounds from highly aromatic seeds, we get 2-in-1, a fatty oil with its very own aroma presence. To use these oils as carriers, you need to dilute them for use with any other essential oils, but the deep color is highly nourishing, and these are really wonderful oils. I think coriander is one of my favorites. Nourishing grains. The grains are also seeds, and several make especially nourishing lipid oils when pressed for the lipid compounds contained in those little kernels. Here are oats. There's a picture of oats and oat oil. And oat oil is a particularly nourishing fatty oil for the skin with all the benefits of the herbal oat. Grain oils, oat, wheat germ, rice bran, and amaranth are generally oils high in squalene. Squalene is a fatty compound, and it's made by our own skin, and it is protective against oxidation, and it's also anti-inflammatory and valuable to add to a formula to supplement the skin's own production of the compound. So the versatile pulses, legumes, peas, and beans is another nourishing botanical family that gives us a range of lipid oils. So consider fenugreek, peanut, soybean, and the more exotic pracaxi, bakuchi, and karanja, all legumes producing fatty oils. As crops, legumes fix nitrogen in the soil, and the beans are able to store nutrients over long periods. So they're highly nourishing compounds that are part of human history, really. Soy, bakuchi, and fenugreek oils have weak phytoestrogen or plant estrogen compounds that can be protective against harmful xenoestrogens, which are the synthetic compounds that can harm us if not kind of mitigated, which some of these oils can do. pumpkins and gourds. This is a wonderful group of lipid oils and comes from the cucumber family. The Cucurbitaceae is another major food producer that grows prolifically around the world. Some oils of this group are dark and rich and nourishing healing fraction. Pumpkin, loofah, even the loofah, those scrubs in the that you might have in a shower or in a spa. Loofah also produces seeds not unlike those shown here for the pumpkin. And calabash seed oils are all included, and there's a few more as well. Others, a few are very dark and rich. Others are light in color and fruity scented. Watermelon, cucumber can have a wonderful cucumbery scent, and muskmelon seed oils are all part of this prolific group. These oils are light feeling on the skin. They absorb well and help to control inflammation with anti-inflammatory phytosterols and protect with nourishing tocopherols and minerals and carotenoids. The protective cabbage. The oils that fall within the cabbage group have an unusual fatty acid structure, making them great skin and hair care oils. They're particularly protective with a different range of fatty acids than most other oils. The very long carbon chains have 20 or more carbon atoms on the carbon chains. Most of the fatty acids in oils are 18 carbons and often less, 16 and 18 carbons. But this particular family group has 20 carbons or longer, and that makes for a different type of oil. So these oils are unusual fatty and the unusual fatty acids that make them up can protect other oils that are sensitive to oxidation and protect it. And when used on the skin, these very long chain fatty acids can protect it from free radical damage and environmental assaults like pollution and the elements, things that are kind of overcome our skin. Arugula is one of these oils, broccoli seed, daikon radish seed, Abyssinian seed, watercress seed are a few of this interesting group. The tropical palm. There are many, many palms. It's a huge botanical family. And there's 12 different varieties that we have access to that produce fatty oils and butters for us to use. Only one type has been exploited to harm an ecosystem, and that really should be avoided and not sourced from that region. That is a different discussion. We're not going to go there now. But palm oils are rich and nourishing, as you can see by the photograph to the right. And some of them have very deep colors of the healing fraction, which we'll talk about. Shown here is acai, buriti, patua, bacaba, tucuma, and a couple more, and then the red palm in the one solid oil in this group. And what's not shown, but are equally valuable lipid compounds, are coconut oil and some of the other palm butters. Some have mild scents, but all as carriers need to be used with other lipid oils to either dilute the very strong colors or melt the butters to make a range of skincare products like body butters and different nourishing salves and skincare compounds. Ancient seeds. So the ancient cultures have used oils like sesame, and shown here is nigella, which is also called black seed oil, castor, flax, olive, sunflower, Kalahari melon, moringa and hemp as foods and as supplements, as carriers to make cloth, inks, and varnishes for thousands of years. These plants and oils are part of humankind's heritage and play a significant role as remedies, nourishment, and sacraments. You see them all across ancient cultures. Tradition and literature guide us in using these familiar standby oils, as they are as valuable today as they were in the past. And then zero waste is kind of a modern complement. In contrast to those ancient seeds and ancient traditional oils, modern intensive agriculture concentrates fruits and vegetables as single crops in large fields that, once harvested, result in waste products that include the seeds of the plants. Seeds, remember, that's our source. Enterprising processors collect and dry seeds for processing into lipid oils for the modern market. Raspberry, blackberry, strawberry, tomato, blueberry, cranberry, apple, and pomegranate and cucumber are a few of these newer oils unavailable to our grandparents. The seeds are so small or so hard, they were not able to be collected efficiently and turned into oils, except for the present time. So the structure. In some, these are but a few oils that can be used with essential oils for healing and beauty treatments. I stated that these oils consist of larger molecules, distinct from the small aroma molecules that can evaporate and scent the air. So let's take a look at what that structure looks like and how it impacts shelf life, use on the skin, and safety of these oils. So the structure of these lipid oils, they are made up of triglycerides and fatty acids. We'll go into this a bit more, but this makes up these compounds make up over 95% of all of these lipid oils, sometimes closer to 98 or 99%. The triglyceride. I always use, when I'm teaching my students, I always use my finger, and I have 3 knuckles are the glycerol molecule, and 3 fatty acids are 3 fingers. So the chemistry of lipid oils is not overly complicated, as the elements are all variations on the same patterns. A carbon chain with hydrogen attachments on some or all of the carbon atoms. 95% or more of all oils are made up of triglycerides, a compound of what I just showed you, 3 fatty acids bound to a glycerol molecule. The structure makes it a big relative to an aroma molecule and a fatty molecule that impacts only the top layers of the skin, the top 2 layers of the epidermis, which is, there's many layers of the skin, but it's the outer layers that can take up and work with these oils. Fatty acids. The fatty acids on the triglyceride can be saturated, which makes up the solid butters, or unsaturated, what makes up liquid oils. Unsaturated fatty acids are susceptible to oxygen as their carbon chains are not fully saturated, which means attached to hydrogen atoms. The liquid oils are unsaturated, are made up of unsaturated fatty acids, and these must be protected from oxygen to keep them fresh and from going rancid and becoming unusable too soon. The top of these 5 fatty acids are so common. They're in almost every single oil that you'll encounter in large percentage or a small percentage, but these are the main fatty acids in lipid oils. As you can see, the top 2 have each of the carbon atoms have a hydrogen attached to that carbon, and they're straight. The top is palmitic acid, which is 16 carbons, and the second one is stearic acid, which is 18 carbons. The middle fatty acid, you can see it starts to bend a little. That is oleic acid. It is monounsaturated. Okay, it has 1 double bond. And then the bottom 2, linoleic and then alpha-linolenic, are the 2 essential fatty acids. All of these are vital and play a big role in fatty acids, in the carrier oil chemistry and structure. So let's look at the unsaturated for a minute. Thus, unsaturated fatty acid chains need protection from oxygen. And to achieve that, they need to be kept away from intense light, heat, and air. Note the missing hydrogen atoms on parts of the carbon chain. This is where oxygen can attach and spoil the oil. But because they're extracted from living organisms, plants, the oil, these fatty acids and oils will in time break down and need to be used up. Oils really should never be hoarded or stored away. They really are living raw materials, and we want to use them when they're fresh and full of their full intensity. So light, heat, air, and time is what we can't control, are the 4 factors we need to protect the oils and to keep them fresh and usable for use in formulas. Remember, I talked about that the oils are made up of 95% or more of triglycerides, which are made up of the fatty acids. That leaves us a few percentage points unaccounted for. And I want to share those with you now. So this small percentage it can be called the healing fraction, but a more technical term is the unsaponifiable fraction. And this term, unsaponifiable, is based on the ability of oils to saponify and become soap. So if you're a soap maker, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So this unsaponifiable fraction, this small percentage, is where we find color and taste, vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, and everything that is not a fatty acid, and contributes countless healing benefits and nourishment to the skin. It's also what gets refined away. And what I've shown here in the photograph is a range of rose family oils: strawberry, blackberry, raspberry, cloudberry, and rosehip seed oil are 5 fatty acids, 5 rose oils from that family that are high in the unsaponifiable fractions. So skin and oil. Our skin is compatible with the plant oils, as many of the same fatty acids are present in plant oils and skin tissues. On the skin, the saturated fatty acids of the butters will protect by keeping moisture and external elements out due to their general inability to absorb into the top tissues. So really, the saturated fatty acids do a bit of coating and protecting in a kind of an occlusive manner. Unsaturated fatty acids, by contrast, are more able to absorb into the skin and deliver those compatible fatty acids. All of these fatty acids are part of the skin tissues and the healing fraction as well, directly into the skin's outer lipid matrix. So storing oils, we mentioned, they do need to be stored properly to get the most use out of them. So storage conditions, when appropriate, will keep oils and butters in good condition as long as possible. And I just want to touch on this because it's an important part of working with them. Cool and dark. I say this all the time to my students: cool and dark. As products of the living plant world, the oils and butters will degrade over time and more quickly if stored poorly. Time is a factor you cannot control, but those of light, heat, and proximity to air, you can. So protecting oils from these elements will help to maintain your stock as fresh as possible. Dark cupboards at below room temperature are suitable for most oils. Store highly unsaturated and the very delicate, highly polyunsaturated fatty acid dominant oils in a refrigerator. And that these are oils like rosehip or evening primrose, hemp, and flax, for example. Even the saturated butters need dark and cool storage, as they too have, even though it's a small percentage of unsaturated fatty acids, they're still present, and the butters can just get an old butter, it's old. And this is a photograph of my storage refrigerator because I teach. So I store most of my oils in the refrigerator so I have access to them when I want to demonstrate. Not all of them need to be in the refrigerator, but certainly some of the more delicate ones, it's advisable. And of course, it depends on where you live and what the ambient temperature is where you work. So refining oils, that unsaponifiable fraction is what does get refined away. Refined, so I get these questions. Should I use refined oils? Should I use unrefined oils? I hear it all the time, and this depends on so many factors, and a little bit I'll try to share with you. So there's so many variations on how you receive oil. You can see right here, I have 3 different variations on strawberry seed oil. When we order oils online, they can arrive on our doorstep looking and smelling different every single time. And this is for the same oil. Here are 3 strawberry seed oils. So plant oils can arrive. They can be very crude, kind of maybe not smell so good and kind of dark and heavy, or they can be lightly processed. Maybe they were just filtered of any kind of sludge or particles. And I'm going to show you in the next slide. I'll show you a recently processed oil, or fully refined. And those fully refined oils are the ones that come with no color, no scent. They're just, everything is removed except the fatty acids. So it all depends on your supplier. So there's no either or to the question of refining. It's a kind of a continuum. And each producer will tailor their product for the market they are selling to. Oil refining can remove all but the fatty acids, while others might consist of a simple filtering of the plant kind of particulates that make it through the pressing process. So sourcing oil. Get to know a few suppliers and order like small quantities, samples if you can, or like 1 ounce or 2 ounce, to ensure that when you order a larger amount, you have the oil you want to work with. Aromatherapists may want a highly refined oil to let the aroma chemicals take the lead in the formula. Most of my students are natural skincare formulators, and they want the benefits and properties of oils with a minimum of refining and an abundance of all the unsaponifiable, the healing fraction that is available. Raspberry seed oil. So this is what I mentioned. On the left is raspberry seed oil. I was able to travel to see a man that takes the raspberry seeds from a field in Washington State. He collects the pomace, which is what is left over after the raspberry fruit and juice has been removed, and he separates the seeds and dries them to the right moisture content. And then he takes these seeds and he presses them for raspberry seed oil. So the little jar on the left was 1 or 2 days after visiting and seeing this oil pressed. On the right is an oil I bought from him. And the company is very beautiful. I'll just, because he does wonderful work. And you can see the oil as it's been filtered and processed, very simply processed and ready for the market. A much different effect it has clarity, but it still retains a lot of its unsaponifiable compounds. So this is the sort of thing that you have to kind of maneuver when sourcing oils and using them. So lipid oil safety. I'm often asked if the carrier oils have safety warnings. So let's explore that. We often hear about using essential oils safely, and for good reason. They're highly concentrated volatile compounds and can irritate skin and even become allergens if used in too concentrated a form over time. With both carrier oils and essential oils share the same descriptive term, oil, those who do not understand the differences between these 2 types of oils wonder about the safety of both. So as a rule, lipid carrier oils are also the food oils, almond oil, or olive oil. So as a very broad statement, they're often more safe than harmful. But there are exceptions and conditions to consider. There's always exceptions, right? Firstly, individuals can be allergic to some oils. Nuts, for example, can trigger severe allergies and reactions in sensitive individuals. And the nut oil should always be avoided by those people. I mean, it can be a real problem. Shea butter is botanically related to latex. So individuals that have latex allergies need to be cautious around using shea butter. The plant world contains many allergens, so it's important to find yours and avoid those sources. So strong oils. There really aren't too many. Lipid oils are very powerful with properties that make them natural pesticides and healing some substances, some oil. Neem is probably the oil that stands apart from most of the others for its incredibly unpleasant odor. As a pesticide, it's uncommonly bitter taste. I mean, it's like really intense. It is a very powerful oil. It has immunostimulating properties, and really, you don't want to use it on sensitive individuals, on young children, and it's best highly diluted because of this strength. Children and infants want to avoid its active properties, even when used externally. And then when I was doing this slide, mango is also a interesting plant. It's in the same botanical family as poison oak. And so some people are highly sensitive to mango. I mean, I had a relative who would break out in hives from just holding a mango. And so the butter is something that you want to be cautious of and when choosing oils and butters for skincare. So oil as foods. But note, these are exceptions, really, unrelated to their triglyceride and fatty acid structure. As I mentioned, these are the food oils and essential nutrients to maintain our bodily health. The triglycerides in oils like olive, sesame, avocado, peanut, palm, grapeseed, pumpkin, whatever you have near your cooking area, these oils make up 90% of all the fats in our diets, the triglycerides in them, and are necessary to maintain our cellular structure, fuel our bodies, give us energy, and build our skin tissues. These oils are food sources, so they can be used at 100% on the skin, barring any of those known sensitivities. Sometimes a supplier might say use at 5% or 10 or 20%. And students ask me, what does this mean? And it can mean anything from, it might be highly colored, or the oil might be very expensive, or some other property. But generally, these oils can be used at 100% if there isn't an underlying sensitivity. So let's get specific for a minute. What are some carrier oils that can replace fractionated coconut oil in a formula? And I know fractionated coconut oil is a thing. As a lipid student, I'm still a student, always will be. Fractionated coconut is not my favorite. So aromatherapy traditionally makes excellent use of a small handful of carriers to elute the aroma oils on the skin. Two favorites I know are fractionated coconut and jojoba oil, because both are relatively colorless and odorless with nearly unlimited shelf life. But fractionated coconut is not a complete oil, but it's a partial fraction of various palm oils and has none of the healing fraction that we discussed earlier, the vitamins and the minerals and the color or taste. So there are oils that can replace fractionated coconut with a complete profile, complete oil fatty acid profile. And these, there are alternatives for the very familiar jojoba, which is a wonderful oil. So what I've shown with the two pie charts here, fractionated coconut at the lower pie chart, you can see that it's just not a whole oil. That is all it is a couple, two medium chain length saturated fatty acids that remain liquid at room temperature. And that is why it has such a long shelf life, because they are saturated. If you look at the jojoba oil pie chart, that is more similar to a lot of other pie charts. It has lots of different fatty acids in it. Some fatty acids that aren't shown because they drop below 1% of the profile, and so they don't show in a pie chart. But lots of interesting fatty acids and in all of our oils. So let's talk about replacing fractionated coconut if you want to. So using the criteria of a neutral oil with a good shelf life, these are a few of my suggestions to replace the oil. Peach kernel is exceptionally silky feeling oil with no scent or color and a shelf life of a year or more when stored properly. Camellia seed oil is another lovely oil, sometimes called tea seed oil. Tea is in the tea that we drink, the green and black teas. It's a beautiful, dry, feeling silky oil without color or scent as well, with a similar shelf life as the peach kernel. And it comes from the same plant that produces green and black teas, Camellia. Camellia sinensis is one variety of the oil. So marula oil is another beautiful oil. This comes from South Africa. It has a beautiful rose gold color and has no appreciable scent, and has a smooth protective feel when used as a facial oil. So let's talk about alternatives for jojoba oil. Another wonderful carrier. It is a wonderful carrier, a staple of the Aromatherapist cupboard, and as an excellent oil. But what if there were alternatives to vary your formulating palette? Years ago, I manufactured skincare, and I had a customer who relied heavily on jojoba oil. And one year, the crop was decimated. I don't remember quite what it was, whether it was environment, but jojoba oil became incredibly difficult to even find. And when you could find it, the price was many times what you had based your pricing. In my case, I was making it for another company. My price was all of a sudden not viable. So at the time, I didn't really have a lot of alternatives, and I searched, and I was able to find something I could afford and continue with the work. But there are wonderful alternatives. Meadow foam seed oil is one of them. It's very similar in composition, same fatty acids, with an even longer shelf life than jojoba. Abyssinian seed oil is another non-oily, light-feeling plant oil with an extended life rivaling jojoba. Daikon radish seed oil is another colorless, odorless oil with those very long carbon chains that I mentioned. It's daikon radish is in the cabbage family, and it gives the oil a silicone-like properties, used often in hair care. And very emollient for the skin. So there are lots of alternatives and oils that you can try. So along with this presentation, we've put together a download for you so you can look at a few more, compare different oils in different groupings. And I really could carry on endlessly with this subject, but we have limited time. So be sure and download the download there. There should be a link close by to this presentation. There's so many carriers and lipid oils that are making their way to the market, and the numbers are constantly expanding. Some botanical families are growing rapidly. Cabbage is one of them. I keep adding oils to my groupings. So just consider how many oils, how many oils and seeds, they all kind of go together. How many seeds there are around us. And while not all deliver enough lipid compounds for pressing into oils, there are many, many possibilities to anticipate that will be coming on the market. So you want to get to know them and being able to tell the difference between them. So thank you for tuning in and looking at my presentation. Lipidoils.com is our website. We have blogs. We have lots of information on there on carrier oils. And the gift that if you want to look at our Aromatherapist companion to carrier oils, you can go ahead and click on the link that is associated with this presentation. So I want to thank you for joining me and carry on. Keep making wonderful skincare products using essential oils and expanding your carrier oils that you have access to. Thank you.